Okay, so I got questions about how to manage the Linux servers. You didn't feel like I explained that in the getting started, and I realized that I missed some parts of it. So there are some ways. I showed you one way where you already have a jump machine, uh, and that is what we have set up now. So let me just go to the CS Cloud. I'm just going to get my credentials here on the other screen. Here we go. So I have the same setup that I had last time I showed you with the getting started guide. So I have these two machines. So this Ubuntu machine has a private IP address, so I can't get to that directly from your machine, from where you are, your personal desktop, because it's a private address which only resides within the cloud. This jump machine, on the other hand, has a public IP address. This is a Windows machine, so to connect to it, I use the remote desktop. And here we have set that up. And grab my Windows password. So now I am logged on to a Windows client within the lab environment, within the virtual lab. And from this machine, since this machine has a local uh, IP address, you can see that on the network details. You see that it has a private address. So it doesn't even know that it has this public address also. This is how OpenStack solves that. It connects these two, so when traffic comes to this address, it will be sent to this machine. And that's why we can connect to it from the outside. But if we go back and look at our environment, we have this Ubuntu machine, and you see these machines are in the same network. And since they have a security group that allows traffic between them, they can communicate. So from this machine, I can use SSH, like I showed you the last time. I use the -i and then specify where my private key is, and then the username, which is Ubuntu because it's an Ubuntu machine, and then the IP address. And when I try to connect to it, it works. But if I want to administer this Linux machines from the outside world, from your machine, then you need a public IP address for this also. So in this case, then I would assign an IP address, floating IP. I have to allocate one from the public pool, and then assign that to this machine. So now the Ubuntu machine also have a public IP address, but I'm not able to contact that machine right away. And that's I shouldn't anyway be able to do that. And that's because the security group doesn't allow that. So if we go to networks and security groups, I think that I showed you how to create. Yeah, here we have an SSH security group. Just hit the create security group and then name that to SSH. And then I went in and added the ingress rule for SSH traffic. That's on port 22. So now I can go to that instance again and assign that security group. You shouldn't delete any of the other security groups, because if you do, if you delete this one, you won't be able to contact it from the Windows machine. So now what we have to do, I still won't be able to ping this machine, and that's because I have no security group allowing the ping traffic, but I should be able to use SSH. Now let's see if I had my yes, but I need to put them somewhere. Let's see. On the jump machine, I put them in a folder within my. Yeah, I can do the same here. And then we should have the SSH key. And if I go into the dev folder, you should see that. So here is a git bash terminal, and here I have the SSH command. I specify which key I want to use, and then the server ubuntu at. So the at sign shows which machine you should connect to. The first part is the username, and this now has this IP address. And you have to agree to the fingerprint. And now you are logged on to the Linux server from the outside world. Now, I wouldn't recommend giving a floating IP to every machine. I think it's better to have a jump machine and then administer them from that machine. So this method that I showed you now, I wouldn't recommend it. It's better to have one jump machine, which you then can connect to the different machines internally. But that's the two ways that you can connect to Linux machines. Okay, bye.